UFC 289, Nunes versus Aldana. Full card prediction. First thing is first, gotta talk about the cancellations. Khalil Roundtree, Chris Daukaus is no longer going to be on this card. I mean, Chris Daukaus was afraid of getting knocked out by yet another black guy, so he pulled out of that fight. Juliana Pena withdrew, I believe, from some sort of like rib injury or something like that. Now we got Irene Aldana. Hakeem Dawodu, Lucas Almeida got canceled. I'm not too sure why, but Lucas Almeida, if I remember correctly now, is going to be fighting Pat Sabatini a week later. So I mean, just another blow to the UFC 289 card. Another huge blow to the card. Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, Michel Pereira moved from UFC 289 to UFC 291. That messed up a lot of stuff. Then we had David Dvořák and Matt Schnell a few days ago. David Dvořák, his opponent Matt Schnell withdrew for whatever reason. Now he's going to be fighting Steve Erceg. I know. It's a lot of blows to UFC 289. Now, I mean, this is a pay-per-view, ladies and gentlemen. We are paying $60, $70, $80 for an 11-fight card with a female title on the line. Co-main event solid. Beneil, Dariush, Charles Oliveira, very, very solid. And Irene Aldana, Amanda Nunes is still a very, very solid fight. But that's kind of it for the casuals. If you're a casual, that's all you're going to see is the Oliveira, Beneil, Dariush, and Irene Aldana, Amanda Nunes. Other than that, it's a lot of up-and-comers that are very, very exciting to watch, like Nate Landwehr, Dan Ige, Mike Mallott's on the card as well. Got the undefeated Blake Bilder. Steve Erceg's making his UFC debut. It's still going to be a very solid card in terms of the actual fights taking place. But for those casuals watching UFC 289, they're not going to be very, very intrigued looking at the prelims, seeing Maria Oliveira. Who is that? It's not a very casual-friendly card. I mean, they're just trying to bring any card possible back to Canada that they literally possibly could. So this is what we're stuck with. We got Belbiţă, Oliveira, Erceg, Dvořák, Nelson, Bilder, Aoriqilieng, Zahabi, Maverick, Jasudavicius, Curtis, Imavov, Barriault, and theirs is on the main card. I don't know why. You tell me. Marc-André Barriault on a main card of a pay-per-view? I don't know. I'm sorry about that. Nate Landwehr, Dan Ige, a banger, Malott, Fugitt, and we already talked about those two top fights. It's a very solid card if you are a hardcore fan. There's some very fun fights, but if you're casual, you're not going to like it. So, we're going to get the full card prediction, bottom to the top, going from the female fight to start the card to the female fight to end it. Let's get into it. First fight of the night in the women's strawweight division. Diana Belbiţă and Maria Oliveira. In the women's strawweight division, what the odds makers are saying is going to be a 50-50 fight. They're the same age, they're similar height, similar reach, all of that is pretty even between Maria Oliveira and Diana Belbiţă. But Diana Belbiţă has not fought in a very decently long time. It's been about a year and 4 months since her unanimous decision loss to Gloria De Paula. She did beat Hannah Goldie, but I mean, before that was getting destroyed by both Molly McCain and Liana Jojua. I do believe that in this fight with Maria Oliveira, I don't think she's going to have the striking advantage here. I think Maria Oliveira is going to stay on the outside, use her very small reach advantage over Diana Belbiţă, stay on the outside, lane jabs, lane 1-2s, just keep the volume pumping on Diana Belbiţă, defend those takedowns if there are any, and I got Maria Oliveira striking Diana Belbiţă for 3 straight rounds. If Diana loses by finish, it's usually a submission loss. Maria Oliveira is not going to go out there and submit Diana Belbiţă, and I really don't think Maria Oliveira kind of has that power to go out there and knock out Diana Belbiţă. She has okay power, but I don't think she's going to knock her out. I got this fight going all the way. Maria by decision. David Dvořák and Steve Erceg in the flyweight division. Dvořák's only at -175. Which is very, very, very interesting here. I think if this was not a short notice fight, I might put a little bit of money on Steve Erceg to win right there. He's taller, he's lengthier, he's from Australia, and he's got some power in his hands and feet. But mostly he's going out there trying to get the fight to the ground, use that wrestling, use that grappling. If you look at his most recent wins inside of Eternal MMA, he's got guillotines round 1, rear nakeds round 1, and some KOs in round number 1. He's a very solid wrestler, very, very solid grappler, and he's very solid on the ground. But David Dvořák's got solid takedown defense. He is going to be the better striker here than Steve Erceg, in my opinion. I do believe he's going to out-volume Steve Erceg on the feet, defend most, if not all, of the takedowns of Steve Erceg. I mean, it's a tough task on any given day to fight David Dvořák, but on short notice, I think this one's going to go David Dvořák. 29-28 unanimous decision. If there's going to be a round that Steve Erceg wins, it'd have to be him getting a takedown and finding a way to just control. Maybe look for a submission, but I highly, highly doubt he's actually going to get and actually fall through with getting that submission in this fight. I wasn't too sure about those betting odds because those were like the exact same odds against Matt Schnell. So I am going to see if they're out here. Yeah, definitely. Those are not the odds, ladies and gentlemen. Minus 275 or minus 340. I just had a guarantee and recheck that one because I did not believe that he'd be a minus 175 favorite against Steve Erceg on short notice. So minus 340, minus 295. Area, I got Dvořák by unanimous decision. Blake Bilder and Kyle Nelson in the featherweight division. Same age, a little bit of a height and reach advantage for Kyle Nelson, who might have slightly more power than Blake Bilder in this fight, maybe a little bit higher of a finishing ability when it comes to the punches and kicks. But as we know, Blake Bilder is very solid on the ground, has good wrestling, good grappling, a very, very solid ground game. Came in on the Contender Series and beat Alex Morgan fairly easily with that rear naked choke, then came into the UFC, beat an Australian in Shane Young, took him down and controlled them for 3 straight rounds. I don't think he's going to dominate Kyle Nelson here, but I do believe he's going to land those takedowns, keep the striking even for 3 straight rounds, and I got Blake Bilder with a 29-28 decision. Aoriqilieng and Aiemann Zahabi in the bantamweight division. Age goes Aoriqilieng. Height is going to go Aiemann Zahabi, and the reach is slightly going to go Aoriqilieng. Aoriqilieng is going to be the more powerful puncher, in my opinion, knocking out Cameron Else, knocking out pretty much a buttload of opponents on the regional scene. Did lose to Jeff Molina in his debut, but that was a war and a very, very close fight. Then he outstruck Cody Durden, but he got taken down in most of that fight, knocked out Cameron Else, and then beat Jay Perrin. Now he's fighting Aiemann Zahabi, very technical striker. He's got a very good coach in his corner that's very, very focused on game plans and technique and things like that. But I do believe that the equalizer in this fight is going to be the power of Aoriqilieng. I think Aiemann Zahabi might find a way to win one of these rounds, but I think in round number 2, I'm going to have Aoriqilieng catching Aiemann Zahabi with a nice hook in round number 2. I think round 1 is going to be very close. Aoriqilieng is going to land some good shots that are going to land hard on Aiemann Zahabi. Aimann's going to land some good volume in that round. It's going to be a close one. And then round number 2, I got Aoriqilieng, the Mongolian murderer, catching Aiemann Zahabi with a hook and putting him down. Aoriqilieng, TKO. Round number 2. Jasmine Jasudavicius versus Miranda Maverick in the flyweight division, 34 and 25 years old. I am going to go Miranda Maverick to win, but the odds are very, very bad. This is a dog or pass. Ladies and gentlemen, Jasmine is taller. She is lengthier. She's not as experienced as Miranda Maverick, but I'd venture to say she's got slightly better striking than Miranda Maverick. If this was a straight kickboxing, Muay Thai, boxing match, whatever the case may be, for 3 straight rounds, I'd probably lean Jasmine Jasudavicius to win this fight, but as you know, it is MMA. You got the wrestling, you got the grappling, where Miranda Maverick is very, very solid at. So I do believe Miranda Maverick is going to find the way to mix in that wrestling, mix in that grappling, and control Jasmine on the ground. But again, if Jasmine is able to defend these takedowns and make this a striking fight, we may be looking at a pretty juicy plus money dog in Jasmine Jasudavicius, but I'm going to go Miranda Maverick by a unanimous decision. Nassourdine, Imavov, and Chris Curtis in the middleweight division, 27 years old versus 35 years old. Nassourdine is going to be taller. Nassourdine is going to be around the same reach as Chris Curtis here, but Chris is going to be the smaller guy. He's going to be the more powerful guy. But Nassourdine, being the taller guy that he is and being the lengthier guy, he's not lengthier, I kind of made that up, but being the taller guy that he is, trying to stay on the outside and counter Curtis as he's coming in, I do believe Nassourdine is going to land a slightly larger amount of volume than Chris Curtis does in this fight. And Chris is going to come in there and land the harder shots than Nassourdine Imavov, and then Nassourdine will try to mix in some takedowns, mix in some grappling, in my opinion, unsuccessfully. As we know, I mean, Chris Curtis has some very, very solid takedown defense, so I think this will mainly be a striking match where it's going to come down to what are the judges' value, the volume of Nassourdine or those power shots of Chris Curtis. I think they're going to go with Chris Curtis with those power shots. I got Chris Curtis by a 29-28 unanimous decision in arguably the fight of the night for UFC 289. Eryk and Marc-André Barriault in the middleweight division, 36 and 33 years old. Same height, a little bit of a reach advantage there for Eryk Anders, but Marc-André Barriault, pretty similar record to Eryk Anders here. I do believe Marc-André Barriault is going to land more volume and pressure Eryk Anders back to the cage in round number 1. Eryk might counter with some good shots and hurt Marc-André Barriault in round number 1, but round number 2, and then in round number 3, I got Marc-André Barriault just pressuring and throwing that volume onto Eryk Anders in those later rounds, and that is where Marc-André Barriault will get the finish and TKO Eryk Anders at the end of round number 2 or towards the middle of round number 3. I got Eryk Anders winning round number 1. Again, I think he might actually hurt Marc-André Barriault on the feet. But round 2, round 3, baby, I got Marc-André Barriault coming back with a storm and KOing Eryk Anders in those later rounds. Dan Ige and Nate Landwehr in the featherweight division. I know a lot of people are on Nate Landwehr here just because of the recency bias. He is taller, pretty similar reach to Dan Ige, and they're looking. Ludovic Klein, this up-and-comer, he went out there and submitted with an anaconda. He went out there and just dogged it out with David Onama for 3 rounds. Showed his toughness and showed some back to David Onama in that fight. Austin Lingo, he went out there, landed some big shots early, took him down and got that rear naked choke submission. I know there's a lot of stuff going on Nate Landwehr, a lot of hype on Nate Landwehr recently, but come on, guys, we know who Dan Ige is. Who is he losing to? The top tier guys, Chan Sung Jung, Josh Emmett, and Movsar Evloyev just came off knockout wins over Gavin Tucker a few years back, and then a knockout win on Damon Jackson in his last fight. I do believe Nate Landwehr is going to have his moments, but I got this fight staying on the feet for 3 rounds and arguably a fight of the night as well. I did say Chris Curtis, Nassourdine Imavov could be that fight of the night, but this one is starting to look like that fight of the night. I got Dan Ige landing those harder shots on the Nate the Train chin in round number 1. I got round number 2 also going to Dan Ige, still countering, still landing some good shots. And then round number 3, we got comeback time from Nate Landwehr, coming back, landing some big shots onto Dan Ige in the 3rd and final round. Nearly getting the finish at the end of the round, possibly getting a draw on one of the judges' scorecards, but I got it 29-28, 28-28, and 29-28 for the winner by majority decision, Dan Ige. I got him winning the first 2 rounds. One of the judge giving a draw, or giving a 10-8 round to Nate Landwehr in the third. The other 2 just saying 10-9. And the winner, Dan Ige, by majority decision. Mike Malott and Adam Fugitt in the welterweight division. Mike Malott is a 2-1 dog. Same height, reach advantages going Adam Fugitt in this fight. Mike Malott is the better jiu-jitsu guy, better wrestler, better grappler. If he wanted to, he very well could go out there and take this fight down on Adam Fugitt, but he's also a very good striker. He's got solid power in his hands, knocking out guys like Mickey Gol, and hurting some guys on the regional scene like Solomon Renfro and Johan Linus, hurting them on the feet, taking them down, and then submitting them on the ground. And this one with Adam Fugitt, I do give the grappling and wrestling and jiu-jitsu. All of that advantage goes to Mike Malott, and then the striking is going to be very, very even. But I think Mike Malott finds a way to get this fight to the mat, gets Adam Fugitt's back in round 2 or round number 3, and I got a Mike Malott submission in the later rounds. Charles Dvořák Oliveira, Beneil Dariush in the lightweight division, the co-main event. I'm going to go Beneil Dariush to win. They're both 5'10" tall, which is literally right around where I am, and I'm a flyweight, which is crazy. Charles Oliveira's 74-inch reach right there is going to be, I would say, a slightly better striker early on than Beneil Dariush, given the power and the shots that Charles Oliveira is able to land early on in the fight. But the later on the fight goes, round 2, round 3, round 4, round 5, that's not where this fight's going to go, since it is a 3-round co-main event. But I'm just saying those later rounds are where Beneil Dariush is going to have the advantage in terms of the striking. And even on the ground, this is a fight that I'm going to tell you right now, Beneil Dariush is not afraid of Charles Oliveira's grappling. Beneil will go to the ground with Charles Oliveira. He's not going to just stand and bang with Charles Oliveira. Even if he did, I still actually go Beneil to win, but he's willing and wanting to go to the ground with Charles Oliveira here. Not to go and try to look for a submission win on Oliveira, but just to control like he did with Tony Ferguson and stay on top, land punches, stay away from those submissions, but just control, land more volume, and win the fight on the judges' scorecard. So if the fight hits the mat, I am going to go Beneil Dariush to control and win the fight by a decision. But if it's on the feet, I'm also going to go Beneil Dariush. Reason being, I think Oliveira round 1 is the most dangerous Oliveira. I think he hurts Beneil Dariush on the feet, maybe even finishes Beneil Dariush on the feet. I for sure have Oliveira winning that first round. And then in round number 2, Oliveira is going to start to slow down a little bit, and Beneil is going to find his range, find his rhythm, and just start to pick apart Oliveira a little bit as the rounds go on. Shoot some takedowns every now and then just to get Oliveira thinking and worrying about those takedowns as well. And that is where I'm going to go Beneil Dariush to win this fight either way by a 29-28 decision. If it's a full-on grappling match, I think Beneil Dariush controls to that 29-28 decision while landing punches on top, elbows, hammer fists. And if it's on the feet, I also got Beneil. So either way, 29-28 decision win for Beneil Dariush. Amanda Nunes and Irene Aldana in the bantamweight division. I am going to go the younger, yes, I did say younger, Amanda Nunes to go out there and get the finish in round number 3. They're similar height, similar reach. Irene Aldana is a solid striker indeed, but no match for the great Amanda Nunes. She is an okay grappler, but again, no match for the great Amanda Nunes. I'm going to be dead serious here. Amanda Nunes is better wherever this fight goes. If it's a wrestling match, Amanda Nunes wins. If it's a jiu-jitsu match, Amanda Nunes wins. If it's a striking match, I'm going Amanda Nunes. Obviously, there is that Matt Serra possibility that Irene Aldana is able to catch her with something, hurt her on the feet, submit her like Juliana Pena did, maybe knock her out on the feet as well. But I highly doubt it. Amanda Nunes is just better and so far superior in all facets of mixed martial arts. I do believe the early rounds are going to be spent striking with Irene Aldana, Amanda Nunes in round number 1. Round number 2, I got Amanda Nunes shooting a takedown, controlling the fight on the ground, landing some good ground and pound, some good volume, getting close to a submission as well. Round number 3, Aldana is going to be a bit tired, and that is where Amanda Nunes is going to catch Irene Aldana with something on the feet and either finish her off with ground and pound or snatch her back and do what Juliana Pena did to her, a rear naked choke. Irene Aldana. So that is it. I get a rear naked in round number 3 for Amanda Nunes, or a ground and pound TKO after Irene gets very much hurt in the middle of round number 3. So either way, Amanda Nunes by finish in the 3rd round. That is it for the full card prediction. UFC 289 Canada, Nunes versus Aldana. I get Amanda Nunes round 3 finish. Beneil Dariush 29-28 decision. Mike Malott by finish in round 2 or round number 3. Danny Gay by a decision. Marc-André Barriault round 3 TKO. Chris Curtis by decision. Miranda Maverick by a decision. Aoriqilieng by TKO in the later rounds. Blake Bilder by decision. David Dvořák by decision. And Maria Oliveira by decision. Our finishes are Aoriqilieng, Marc-André Barriault, Mike Malott, and Amanda Nunes. So I got 4 out of 11 fights being finishes. 7 out of 11, 7-11 being decision wins. What are your predictions? Put them down in the comment section below. Make sure to like, make sure to subscribe, make sure to turn on those notifications for when I go live, make a video, post literally anything onto the channel. Check out the community post that I do on this channel for all of my polls. If you want to go on there, it's on YouTube right here. Let's see. We got a lot of polls. So if you want to see any upcoming fights coming up in the UFC's lightweight division, welterweight division, whatever the case may be, we got polls like these all the time on the community tab. We had McGregor versus Michael Chandler, 60% going McGregor by finish. Almeida versus Curtis Blades, 75% going Almeida. That is crazy. We have Amir Albazi. If he wins this weekend, does he win against Alessandro Pantoja or Brandon Moreno? And y'all are saying he wins, which is absolutely insane. We got some funner community posts as well, but check those out as well. Make sure to like, subscribe, and check out the shorts as well. That's the last thing I'm going to say. All MMA news is going to be on these shorts right here, or it's going to be on my Instagram as well. We do a lot of MMA news on here. So thank you guys for watching this full card prediction. We'll see you in the next one.